Before we dive into Method Man's biggest rivalries and the artists who ended up on his bad side, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any of our deep dives into hip-hop drama, legendary beefs, and the untold stories behind rap's most unexpected clashes. The first artist that Method Man hated is Joe Budden. Few hip-hop feuds have sparked as much controversy in the late 2000s as the one between Method Man and Joe Budden. The fallout began in 2009 when Vibe magazine released its best rappers of all time list. Joe Budden, never shy about giving his opinion, publicly questioned why Method Man was ranked so highly. He went further by saying that Meth, a respected member of the Wu-Tang Clan, didn't deserve his spot on the list. For fans, this was shocking because Budden was still considered more of an underground voice at the time, while Method Man was already a certified legend in the culture. Meth didn't take the criticism lightly. Known for his sharp delivery and aggressive personality, he fired back almost immediately. In interviews, he expressed outrage, saying Budden had crossed the line by disrespecting a veteran. Meth made it clear that he wasn't just going to let the slight pass. At one point, he even threatened to snuff Joe Budden, meaning a physical confrontation was very much on the table. The tension escalated quickly, with both rappers exchanging heated words, and it seemed like the situation could turn violent. The feud didn't stay confined to words alone. Behind the scenes, reports circulated that confrontations nearly broke out at industry events. Cooler heads eventually stepped in to prevent things from getting physical, but the animosity between the two lingered. Fans and media outlets were glued to the drama, as it wasn't just a case of two rappers trading bars. It was a clash between generations. Meth represented the golden era of 90s hip-hop, while Budden symbolized the brash, opinionated new wave that thrived on controversy and online presence. What made the beef even more interesting was the way it highlighted changing dynamics in hip-hop culture. Joe Budden's criticisms reflected the growing influence of blogs, forums, and online debates in shaping reputations. Meth, on the other hand, came from an era where respect for established artists was non-negotiable. To him, Budden's comments weren't just an opinion, they were outright disrespect. Although the feud eventually cooled off, it left a lasting mark on both artists' reputations. For Budden, it cemented his image as someone unafraid to speak his mind, even if it meant calling out legends. For Method Man, it was a reminder that the rap game had changed and that his legacy could still be challenged in the public arena. The Budden-Meth clash remains one of the more infamous examples of hip-hop beefs, where words nearly turned into action. It wasn't about money, sales, or even personal betrayal. It was about respect and the refusal of a veteran like Method Man to accept being dismissed by someone he saw as an upstart. The second artist that Method Man hated is Cilvaringz. The tension between Method Man and Cilvaringz stemmed directly from one of the most controversial projects in hip-hop history, the Wu-Tang Clan's Once Upon a Time in Shaolin. Conceived by RZA and produced primarily by Cilvaringz, the album was designed as a single copy release, locked away as an art piece rather than distributed to the public. While the concept fascinated some, it created enormous friction within Wu-Tang itself, and Method Man was one of the most vocal critics. Method Man's issue wasn't just with the idea of withholding music from fans, but also with Cilvaringz's role in the project. Cilvaringz, a lesser-known Wu-Tang affiliate from the Netherlands, took the lead in producing the album, often sidelining core members in the process. Method Man didn't hold back his feelings, calling Cilvaringz a B-level Wu guy and saying flat out, "I can't stand Cilvaringz." That blunt dismissal revealed how little respect he had for him, both personally and professionally, especially when it came to the weight of decisions that affected the group's entire image and legacy. The situation escalated when RZA and Cilvaringz finalized the deal to sell the only copy of the album in 2015. To the shock of fans and members alike, the album was sold to Martin Shkreli, the infamous pharma bro, who became widely hated for inflating the price of life-saving medication. Method Man was outraged, not just at the sale itself, but at how it undermined the legacy of the Wu-Tang Clan. He publicly criticized the decision, arguing that the move betrayed the spirit of the group, which had always been about the people and the culture. For him, Cilvaringz symbolized everything wrong with how the project was handled, from excluding voices of key members to turning Wu-Tang into a publicity stunt rather than a musical force. Unlike other Wu-Tang disputes that centered around creative differences or business disagreements, this one carried an edge of personal dislike. Method Man rarely singles people out in such harsh terms, but with Cilvaringz, his frustration boiled over. It wasn't only about the album, it was about trust, representation, and the hierarchy within Wu-Tang. For Meth, having someone he viewed as a minor affiliate dictate such a crucial project was unacceptable and deeply insulting. To this day, the Cilvaringz feud remains one of the clearest examples of how fractured the Wu-Tang Clan became over internal decisions. While Meth eventually moved on and continued his own career, his disdain for Cilvaringz left a permanent mark. For fans, it was a reminder that even within legendary collectives, tensions can run deep. And in this case, Method Man didn't mince words about who he felt was to blame. The third artist that Method Man had issues with were Destiny's Child. What started as a simple on-stage collaboration turned into one of the most uncomfortable moments of Method Man's career, leaving him resentful toward the group. The incident took place at the 2001 MTV Icon tribute show for Janet Jackson. Method Man and Redman were booked to perform their hit Da Rock Wilder, and part of the show involved Destiny's Child joining them on stage. But instead of a smooth performance, things went completely sideways. During the set, Destiny's Child, then consisting of Beyonce, Kelly Rowland, and Michelle Williams, failed to deliver their part properly. Whether it was a technical issue or a lack of rehearsal, the group came in offbeat and looked unprepared. Method Man later revealed that from his perspective, they messed up the whole performance. For an artist who prided himself on stage presence and professionalism, that moment was embarrassing. Method Man was so frustrated afterward that he openly criticized Destiny's Child, saying the group showed him and Redman no respect. He claimed they didn't even greet him properly backstage, brushing him off as though he wasn't on their level. For a rapper who came up through the legendary Wu-Tang Clan, that felt like a slap in the face. He was particularly irritated because he and Redman had been invited as part of a high-profile tribute, only for the collaboration to make him look bad. What made the situation worse is how the fallout was remembered in the media. While Destiny's Child went on to become one of the most successful girl groups in history, that MTV Icon performance was noted as awkward, with most of the blame falling on Meth and Red. Method Man felt he had been unfairly tarnished by the association, and he never held back his dislike toward Destiny's Child afterward. This wasn't a case of a long-running feud or competition. It was a one-off collaboration gone wrong. But for Method Man, the disrespect he felt stuck with him. Unlike disagreements with other rappers over business or lyrics, his issue with Destiny's Child was about professionalism and courtesy. Meth came away from the experience convinced that the group had looked down on him and Redman, something he made clear in later interviews. Although Beyonce and her bandmates never publicly addressed the situation, Meth's disdain became part of hip-hop lore. Even years later, fans still recall how he referred to the group with irritation, using the 2001 performance as proof of why he couldn't stand them. It might not have been a traditional beef, but in Method Man's eyes, Destiny's Child had crossed the line by disrespecting him on a public stage. The fourth artist that Method Man clashed with is RZA. Unlike his beefs with outsiders, this one played out inside the Wu-Tang Clan, where creative and business disagreements sometimes boiled over. RZA was the architect of Wu-Tang's sound and its business model, and his decisions often shaped the group's direction. But Method Man wasn't shy about calling him out when he felt those decisions were wrong. One of the biggest flashpoints was Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, the secret Wu-Tang album recorded between 2006 and 2013. RZA and producer Cilvaringz spearheaded the project, pressing only a single copy and auctioning it off in 2015. Method Man was furious about the rollout. He publicly criticized the idea of limiting the music to just one owner, saying Wu-Tang's legacy was about the fans, not exclusivity. He was especially unhappy when the album ended up in the hands of Martin Shkreli, the controversial pharmaceutical executive later convicted of securities fraud. Meth argued that the whole scheme sidelined core Wu-Tang members and betrayed the group's bond with its supporters, stripping away the accessibility that made the clan legendary in the first place. But the tension between Meth and RZA went deeper than just one album. Meth had long voiced frustration with RZA's leadership style, which was sometimes seen as heavy-handed. In interviews, he admitted that while RZA was a genius who built Wu-Tang's foundation, his approach didn't always sit well with every member. Meth in particular resented the feeling of being shut out of creative or business decisions, especially when they impacted the group's image or finances in ways he didn't agree with. Still, it was never outright hate. Method Man remained loyal to Wu-Tang as a collective and continued performing alongside RZA. Their clashes were more about principle and direction than personal animosity. Meth acknowledged RZA's vision, but didn't hesitate to speak up when he thought the clan's legacy was being mishandled. For fans, the Meth versus RZA disputes were a reminder of how difficult it was to balance 9 strong personalities under one banner. Even with the public criticisms, both men have shown respect for each other over the years. Method Man never denied RZA's importance to the group, and RZA continued to include Meth in major Wu-Tang projects. But the debates over Shaolin and leadership made it clear that their partnership wasn't free of friction. It highlighted the internal struggles that came with keeping one of hip-hop's greatest groups together for decades. For Method Man, RZA wasn't an enemy in the traditional sense. Instead, he was a brother he sometimes butted heads with, proof that even within a legendary crew, tension and disagreement were inevitable. The fifth and final artist that Method Man hated is Foxy Brown. In the late 1990s, New York rap was a battlefield of egos, alliances, and lyrical dominance. Method Man, already a star through Wu-Tang Clan and his solo career, crossed paths with Foxy Brown at a time when she was emerging as one of the most prominent female rappers in hip-hop. Their clash wasn't as explosive as his beef with Joe Budden or as personal as his issues with RZA, but it added another layer to the complicated politics of that era. The tension began when Method Man made comments that seemed to undercut Foxy Brown's credibility and lyrical style. He reportedly questioned her authenticity and whether she truly earned her spot in the rap conversation or was simply benefiting from industry favoritism and affiliations. In a culture where respect and lyrical sharpness were everything, such remarks were seen as shots at her artistry. Foxy, known for her brash confidence and unwillingness to back down, didn't stay silent. She responded with subliminal lines in her verses that many believed were directed at Method Man, reinforcing her reputation for fearlessness. The feud remained more in the shadows than on the front pages, but within the industry and among fans, it was clear that bad blood existed between them. The subliminal exchanges played into the broader New York hip-hop climate, where artists often engaged in coded dices instead of direct confrontations. Both Method Man and Foxy Brown had reputations for holding grudges, and their mutual shade became part of that underground narrative, circulating through mixtapes and insider conversations. Unlike some of his other rivalries, this one never escalated to a full-blown lyrical war or physical confrontation. However, the lack of resolution kept the tension alive. Neither side ever made a public reconciliation, and the clash remained a footnote in both their careers. One more example of how the competitive spirit of 1990s hip-hop created rifts, even between artists who might have otherwise thrived in collaboration. What made the fallout significant was that it reflected a larger issue in the rap world: the struggle for respect and recognition. For Method Man, one of the most celebrated MCs of his time, Foxy Brown represented an artist whose rise he didn't fully endorse. For Foxy, the comments were another attempt to dismiss her legitimacy in a male-dominated industry where every shot at her skill carried weight. Their Cold War became part of the messy, competitive, and often unforgiving energy of New York rap during that decade. Though overshadowed by louder feuds, Method Man's falling out with Foxy Brown showed that even the most subtle rivalries could leave lasting marks. It was less about chart-topping diss tracks and more about the silent but sharp exchange of words and attitudes that shaped hip-hop's internal politics. Outro. Through all of it, Method Man proved he was never afraid to speak his mind. Whether it was Joe Budden's public disrespect, Cilvaringz' mishandling of Wu-Tang's legacy, Destiny's Child's botched collaboration, RZA's heavy-handed leadership, or Foxy Brown's subliminal shots, every rivalry revealed something about Meth's values, his demand for respect, his loyalty to hip-hop's roots, and his refusal to be undermined. Some clashes came from personal slights, others from creative differences, and a few from the shifting politics of the industry. But all of them showed that behind Method Man's laid-back charm was an MC who took his art, his reputation, and his legacy very seriously. Now it's your turn. Out of all these rivalries, which do you think defined Method Man the most? Was it the heated face-off with Joe Budden that nearly turned physical, or the deep cracks with RZA that tested the Wu-Tang Brotherhood? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you followed Meth's legendary journey, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the beefs that shaped hip-hop culture.